Welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's weekly video game discussion podcast. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Brody.
Hello.
Shannon.
Hello.
And James.
Hello.
Today on the show, we're going to be talking about our reviews of the Plucky Squire, Funko Fusion, and the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, and some news on Star Wars Jedi, The Sims, and Skate from EA. But first, Shannon, I'm curious, a week on, where is your head at with the whole PS5 Pro? I feel like I've been reading comments on our YouTube upload from last week every day, and people seem really unhappy, I think, with like the announcement.
I think it's turning a little bit in the sense that like the people that don't want it are just not saying it as much, and the people that are planning on pre-ordering it are coming through more and more. I've been watching a lot of Digital Foundry stuff on it, and I think it does. I think we touched on it last week, and I did say this, but like it does seem like they have pushed it as far as they could with current tech, which I'm glad about. So like whilst it is still a lot of money, like it does genuinely seem like it's going to push things forward quite a bit with the AMD tech in it that isn't even available in any AMD GPU yet. So it does seem quite forward thinking in terms of what PlayStation and AMD have done together. And I've been doing a little bit of PC gaming, setting my PC up again. And there is a big difference between like playing games on a 4070 that I have in my PC at the moment, and the PS5. Like you think that it's good when you play a PS5, but when you play a PC game, it is like night and day.
It's like water.
Correct.
I'm reminded of that sometimes as well. Like, I'm trying to think what it was recently. Maybe the first Descendant. That was like, I was playing that on PS5 and PC with the cross progression. And yeah, it was kind of not night and day, but it is noticeable. Like the quality
it's just smoother.
difference.
It's the fidelity's better. Like it's 4K. You
At
can
the
tell
same time, though, on PC, the game had this annoying bug where it like didn't interpret the polling rate of your mouse correctly, and that made it jittery as all hell.
Yeah,
like it actually felt like a smoother
if we can
experience
get
on
that
PlayStation,
performance in a console experience, like that's when I think if it levels out a bit. I don't know. I do keep coming back to the price.
Yeah. I was like,
I keep coming back to the price, and it's a lot of money. I get that, but I think, people need to realize you don't need to buy it. Like your PS5 experience will still be good as it was for the PS4 for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if you do want a high-end option, again, we haven't really seen a lot of like direct comparisons. Like hopefully this is it, without buying a PC. So I don't know.
I think it's
like
there,
new
right,
tech,
for
so
people with
whatever.
the budget that want to really get the most out of their games without going into the PC route. Like it is for a very niche thing. And I've come to terms with it's not for me. I think a lot of people in our comments were probably doing the same thing as well.
The timing of it, just with how everything is awful. But PlayStation didn't plan to release it at this exact point in what the world's doing, right? Like if they could go back to 2020 days with the PS5 and the economy, they would take it.
Yeah. No doubt we'll have plenty more to say on the matter as it gets nearer to release. But Brody, I'm eager to hear from you now and your thoughts on the Plucky Squire, which is a game I know has been on your radar for a good little while. No doubt you were eager to finally get your hands on it. But how did you feel about the game?
I liked it quite a lot, obviously. If you've read the review or seen Jake's nice little video package that he did on socials, I gave it a 9. It's probably the least Devolver game that I've played. Like it's, all their games are usually really edgy and dark and all that sort of stuff. But this is obviously, without being marketed as such, I feel like it's directly made for kids while being very accessible to everyone. That does come with a few, like a little bit of baggage. Like the game isn't really challenging whatsoever. And the puzzles are really sort of one track in that sense. There's like one solution and doesn't really... What's Shannon up to? The puzzles are sort of one track and only offer one solution. It doesn't really let you experiment with the core mechanic of, swapping out words and sentences too much. Like you can do it with, for some comedic effect, like some things are just for laughs, but they don't really have any bearing on the through line of the puzzle, which is a little disappointing, but I guess it's to keep it simple for its intended audience. Same with the combat. Like the combat's really... rudimentary, I guess I would say. Like it's very simple, very simple upgrade path and all that sort of stuff. I'm just seeing Shannon's comments coming through live. OMG, kill me.
My whole
went black.
PC went black.
So
He's texting us, yeah.
We'll press on and see how that pans out.
Hopefully we get Shannon back.
Yeah, hopefully we get Shannon back in time. But yeah, aside from that little bit of downside, like I just couldn't knock it for the fact that it's such a novel, creative idea for a game. Like obviously, it's noted I'm not a Zelda fan, but I guess Zelda fans would draw like comparisons to like Link Between Worlds and stuff like that in terms of how this game sort of handles it's dimension hopping. Like, so obviously the premise is you're a storybook character, a 2D sort of hero within a little picture book named Jot, who is the Plucky Squire, and time and time again he's thwarting the nefarious Humgrump, but Humgrump eventually works out that he can use meta magic to expel Jot from the book, and then it sort of becomes this really cute, almost 3D action adventure game where you're on top of the desktop and trying to get your way back into the book and save the day ultimately. So really cute premise, really cute game. Like the graphics are amazing. I love the illustration, like the bold black lines and like the rich thick colors. Like it literally looks like a picture book that you're playing, and I couldn't get enough of that. It's full of heart. Like the story, like it's not Citizen Kane or anything like that, but for kids and like its audience, like you'll get what you want out of it. Like it's typical hero's tale. Like he saves the day. He's got his band of friends who are, it's all about the team. So yeah, like I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm eager to see how it progresses. I've only played like the first hour or so, if I were to guess. I think I got up to kind of the start of chapter 4. So like I've played enough to kind of get kicked out of the book and then jump back into it. It hasn't quite got its hooks into me quite the way I hoped. Like I was finding the combat just rather kind of straightforward, although like admittedly I was kind of seeing some of the new attacks and stuff kind of teased through the shop vendor and stuff. And then like when I was kicked out of the world, it just seemed pretty much just stealth around the bugs and don't get caught by that. Does the combat evolve in much
wouldn't
way,
say,
or
in terms of what you're actually doing to attack enemies? I wouldn't say that it does. Like in the overworld, like on the Sam's desk, like it definitely does become a bit more than just stealthing around bugs. Like
cool.
But it plays more like basically what you do in the 2D space, but translated to 3D. So it's still the same action, hacking, slashing sort of thing that is rather mindless and doesn't really require that much thought. I think the game gets more interesting when you're presented with combat and puzzle situations where you do need to get out of the book and use abilities that you get, like such as you get stamps that are like bomb stamps and things that can stop things within the map, within the page and all that sort of stuff. So when you start combining that and the combat, it starts to get a bit more interesting, but I don't think it ever really evolves to the point where like the combat's, super challenging or super engaging really. It's just sort of there.
But not
it serves to complement all the other good things the game does.
Yeah. And the little word puzzles and stuff you get in there, you're kind of rewriting sections of the book and like pulling a word from one sentence and adding it to another instead to open a locked gate or whatever.
Yeah.
Does that get kind of much more sophisticated? Like I kind of felt like it was always just a 1-for-1 sort of swap in the puzzles I've encountered so far.
Yeah, so that's pretty much... That's it as well. Like, so what you've seen in that regard is probably as extensive as it gets. So
right.
The game sort of locks you in chapter by chapter. So as you get to chapter 8, it's not like you can go back to chapter 1 and pull words out of chapter 1 to try and solve puzzles that far in. Obviously, they gated it that way, I presume, to make sure that they didn't have to account for limitless possibilities and stuff. And I did sort of come into this game expecting it could be similar to something like a Scribblenauts, where you have like a lot of freedom to like tinker with a lot of different solutions and stuff like that, but it's just not that. Like I said, the puzzles and the solutions are very one track, but still they still make you think enough. And again, I've got to remember the target audience of this game. Like it'd be younger like teenagers maybe, or even younger than that. So no, it doesn't really develop more than that, but again, what I was saying about the abilities, like the stamps and all that sort of stuff, that plays into the environmental puzzles as well. And like you get one... we got a guest. And we've got... shuffled away.
So someone just walked into James's room if you're listening.
And then, what was I going to say? And like you get abilities where... like certain elements in the map are affected by meta magic, and by closing the book, which is one of the powers you get as well, where you can like tilt each cover and you can slam it shut to like transfer things from page to page.
Right.
So, but having said that, like it doesn't really take any of these elements to any extreme. They all sort of just come and then sort of go, and it sort of plays out that way. But
my sense of it at the moment, granted, with like way more to play, is that like they've laid a really cool foundation that they could kind of like really build upon and like take some of these kind of concepts and design elements to an extreme in future sort of Plucky Squire sequels. Yeah,
of course, and I think a lot of like it does that It Takes Two thing where it has a lot of mini games and stuff, like each of the characters, Jot, Thrash, and Violet, like as you progress and have boss fights and stuff, like each boss fight's like themed after a different genre of game. Like you might have seen the one that Jot does where he fights a honey badger and it's like framed like Punch Out. And it's basically like a boxing match like that. Like there's others later in the game that are like takes on other games or other genres and stuff like that. So it keeps it sort of interesting at least throughout, and it does break up that sort of basic combat in that sense. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Like it does feel very foundational in that sense that if they wanted to, they could take this and run and sort of build on it a bit. But again, got to remember, probably a relatively small team. It is an indie game. So to expect it to be Mario Odyssey, like I've seen people like trashing it online for being too basic and I guess too easy. So I don't know if I necessarily think that's fair, but
and I hope I'm not coming across like overly skeptical.
You're being very hard.
Stress. I've only dipped my toes into it so far, but like I'm coming from Astrobot, which I thought was just like so phenomenal, and like in comparing it to that game, I'm already like I just don't think I'm going to enjoy this as much, but I'm really eager to see what they go. And I think like the art style is phenomenal. I think the characters are all really cool as well, and I'm eager to see how it develops. James, have you played any of the Plucky Squire yet? Have you dipped your toes in?
Not yet. I've been incredibly busy with life.
About 6,000 reviews.
You did have another 2 reviews we're going to get to in this show.
And 3 technically, but I want to play it absolutely. I don't have early access either, so I'll just buy it when it comes out. Cool. It sounds good. It looks good. That's all I can really comment on right now. I haven't looked up any gameplay or anything, but I think it looks super crisp, which I really appreciate in a game.
Yeah, I think particularly when you're like in the book form, like the visual style of it is just so neat.
I literally I know you guys talk about it all the time, but I literally have no idea about how it plays or like how it works.
Like, especially like picture book Zelda.
I'm very blind on it. But yeah, like any Zelda like is always going to be good in my book, hopefully.
In your book.
Yeah. I am somewhat of a Plucky Squire myself, you might even say. But yeah, I'm keen to try it, absolutely.
Yeah, likewise, eager to play more of it as well. Brody, back to you before we move on though. Like, given it was a 9 out of 10, where does it sit kind of in your list of games of the year, do you think?
That's a good question. I don't know. I hadn't really considered that. I've played a lot this year, I feel, comparative to recent years. Like, I think last year I struggled to fill out a top 10 almost. I think it'd probably be currently sitting maybe in the back end of the top 10. Like, maybe.
There's been so many good games this year.
I feel like there's been a lot of good stuff here, especially
a lot of really good indies.
A lot of great indies too.
Yeah, that's what
like you got Animal Well, Balatro. Like those would obviously be ahead of it. Astrobot would be ahead of it at this point. So
Lorelei.
It'd be around the midway mark of the list. But there's still some months to go.
Yeah, you mentioned a few that I'm still to get to as well. Anyhow, let's crack on. James, I don't know if this is a total change of tone, but Funko Fusion. How did you find Funko Fusion?
Not as good as Brody found Plucky Squire.
Okay, it is a change of tone.
I liked it, but there were a lot of technical issues that really brought it down for me. So, just to I guess go back to the basics, it is a very similarly structured to like a Lego game, like the old Lego games, where you have like just this cool hub. You go to like a world and play like 5 or 6 levels from that world, which kind of retell the story of whatever it's based on. The brands that you can actually go and visit, like for the worlds, are like Hot Fuzz, Masters of the Universe, Battlestar Galactica,
Such a random assortment.
It is.
But I'm here for it. Like, they're all great.
Yeah,
like,
Jurassic
Masters
World,
of the Universe, sign me up.
The Thing, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So, like, there is a pretty big mix there. Like, some horror, some action, some whatever you want to call comedy, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, all really cool. And I feel like playing through them all, they all do a really good job of kind of telling that story with that kind of tongue-in-cheek humor that the Lego games do as well. Because I'm not sure people know, but this team is a team who kind of spun off from the people who made the old Lego games and tried to make their own thing. So yeah, really good, really solid. I guess the only thing that I didn't like about it was it just was really buggy. A lot of the time I would have to restart levels because like I'd like pause the game and then the game would keep going, but it wouldn't unpause, so I was like stuck in a menu and then I just die. And then you have to restart the level, and because there's no checkpoints. So yeah, there's like it's just stuff like that. And I did say this.
Has that
I think
stuff been fixed? I know you haven't gone back.
I haven't really had time to go back, so I don't know. But yeah,
was it kind of a situation of like there was a day one patch that they were like, we're gonna fix some of these things? Or
well, I played this pretty close to launch, so I don't know if a patch has hit. I think a patch hit last night when I was downloading something else.
Sounds like a lot of things for a patch to fix as well, that close to launch, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they might, who knows.
If they were to patch things like that and it was relatively a seamless experience, would you consider going back for an amendment and maybe
I'd go back and finish off the Chiefs or start the Chiefs on Xbox for sure.
Do you think it'd bring the score up in your mind though?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I was like getting very frustrated. I don't get upset at games much. But I literally played the fucking third Hot Fuzz level 6 times. Like I was just, and like every time I'd hit some form of the same glitch, and I would be like, "Fuck!" Because as soon as you hit that glitch, you can't press buttons to even finish. You finish a level, and you can't even press the button to complete it and go to the next level. Like you have to still go back and finish it. So
I had like a similar issue when I was reviewing Anthem. Like in the preview period that we had, it had all these game breaking bugs. So like, we'll have this fixed to the day one patch, and it's like I have to work with what's in front of me now.
The concept is so strong, but just like the brands for me is the one thing that stopped me from playing it so far. Like I love Jurassic World, like I like Chucky and the Colonel, but they're like side, and Megan, but they're side things. All of the other brands are weird.
So the way that other brands work, as an example, like Megan, like there's so you go into like a room that you might come across a room that's themed around them, and then you might see that character, and then they'll give you a quest to find them in other worlds, and then they might pop up in a few other worlds, and then they will be playable from that point. But the cooler ones that I really like, that I kind of can see why they didn't do heaps of them, but other ones like Jaws, Back to the Future. Not maybe Xena, I can't remember. But like a few of them where like when you find them, you unlock a mission, like it's a secret level basically, and it's just like the biggest set piece from that movie. So, for example, like Jaws is like an attack on the beach and stuff, or like it's stuff like that. So, I think that's cool because like you can't really do 7 levels out of a Jaws movie, like, and keep it interesting. You know what I mean? Like they've kind of really taken the best bits from each of those movies and made them into something.
Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, can you see this expanding Lego style into like entire in a game on an entire franchise, on multiple games even?
I think like they could. Like, I mean, when you think about pops, right? Like, how many there's a pop of everything. Like, like
literally
dead or alive. Like, yeah, like
Homer Simpson's meme.
Yeah,
Podge.
they could. Like, yeah, and I could see them doing something. And I do hope they get to do something because I genuinely can see this growing into something really cool. I just don't know like how, because like I know the other brand I forgot was Umbrella Academy, which is like a really weird one as well. Like I don't know how they can. I think
it almost needed to be like a super mainstream brand.
Maybe focus it into like I don't know, Funko Fusion heroes, and then it's like 6 different superhero things. But then I guess the beauty in this is like Hot Fuzz is like you go and investigate crime scenes, but also shoot down the cultists and stuff. But then like the Thing is like a very light Resident Evil-y kind of experience because it's a horror movie originally. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the beauty of the whole game is the fact that there are so many different experiences in there. But yeah, it is quite rough. And I'm sure it will get fixed over time. But yeah, I kind of really hope I can see there being more to this because I think there's a real gap. Like all the people who grew up on Lego games have kind of grown up a bit now, right? So like to have this kind of, I don't want to say it's mature, but like this is more. It is a little bit more adult. Like things bleed. Like like it's got.
I mean, I feel like I fall right into that camp. Like a lot of these properties really speak to me, like Stargate and Scott Pilgrim being a couple, Hot Fuzz being another. But like I did.
Yeah, I didn't say Stargate.
Sorry, Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica for sure. So like a Lego game with those kind of properties, like that sounds really quite interesting to me.
And not afraid to be gross. Like with the Thing especially, like there's a lot of blood and like, weird pop aliens and stuff. Like I feel like there is some really good potential here. But I hope they get a chance to do a second one because I don't know how hot it's doing at the moment. I feel like no one's talking about it. Like I'm not seeing anything anywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of crept up on us, hasn't it? I feel like there was a bunch of initial interest and then it just seems to have kind of waned. But I suppose that we're not short on different games kind of coming out at the moment. And yeah, I don't know. I sort of
like it's interesting. I'm interested to see like how it runs on Switch as well in March. Because like it does look quite nice. It's very, very smooth. Like and that's kind of the point, right? They're like plastic smooth-headed toys. But it looks really nice. So I don't know how it's going to run that well on the Switch, but we'll see. Or maybe it's Switch 2.
It's certainly always a question at this point in time. And Shannon, had you played some Funko Fusion yet, or do you intend to?
I hadn't, to be honest. It was one I was keen on, but yeah, James talking about the bugs and how it took him like 9 tries to get through one level had put me off a bit with everything happening. Games-wise at the moment. But I am keen to try it.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, it is still worth your time, just not right now. Like, I genuinely think it's about 2 patches away from being really solid.
My gut says that like they rushed this out knowing like if it came out in the peak of holiday season, like it would have been even rougher for them. So like it will be a Christmas game, I think, that a lot of people buy for someone else. So I'm sure they'll fix it.
Yeah, I was just seeing if I could find some info around the patch notes that have come out.
I've seen a few other people say, like I haven't seen lists of bugs, but I've seen people say in Facebook groups and stuff that like they are experiencing bugs. So I don't think it's 100% bug free.
Yeah. It sounds like there's just some kind of various crashing issues, like maybe players getting stuck on the mold machines. I'm assuming that means something to you, James, but.
I actually never got stuck on a mold machine. I molded with no issues.
They fix other issues, but not the ones you were having.
I think it's a cool idea. I like anything new, and like we never say anything new anymore. So like at least this is a new idea based off an existing.
For sure.
Yeah, I think there's something a little bit nostalgic about it too. Like like the old Lego games, going around hitting lots of shit, collecting collectibles and stuff.
And we don't have those basic like franchise games that we used to have for every movie. The PS1.
Well, clearly I'm looking for an excuse to talk about Astrobot some more as well, but that's kind of got me in the mood to kind of go back to like some of these more, I don't know, like kid-orientated games. I used to love playing those 3D platformers, that kind of thing. So I'm in a mood now, I feel like more than ever to
You were
play.
a child like 2 years ago.
I grew up playing all the Lego games, like, and that probably extended like well into my teens, let's be real.
I just think I really appreciate that this was simple. Like it wasn't like, how the Skywalker saga just became this like it's just this gigantic game that was like doing way more than it needed to, like as a Lego game. So
you don't want to think while playing games like this. You just want to kind of do it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
All right, well, James, we're gonna have to stick with you for a little bit longer because we've got another game I'm eager to hear about. That is Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. Were you any more up on that as opposed to Funko Fusion?
I was more than I thought I would be, to be honest. Because I replayed when I reviewed like Dead Rising like 8 years ago when they did it on Xbox One and PS4. I was like, oh, this triple pack is good, but the first game is really rough. And then I revisited the original last month again, and I was like, this is still rough, but I can see the appeal there. So like playing the remaster, I've said this in my review, I really think they're underselling themselves here. Like I feel like if you put them side by side, they look very different. It's closer to a remake almost.
Right.
But I I think it's great. Like, are any of you familiar with Dead Rising? Who here has played Dead Rising before? Anyone?
Yeah.
Me.
I'd never sound
Everyone's
familiar
me,
with you about anything, but I'm
No,
familiar.
you like tennis games, mate, and FIFA.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Ape Escape and tennis games. That's it.
Actually, Ape Escape. That's a big list. No, but, so
There's
like
a lot of tennis games.
So there's like 4 mainline Dead Rising games, and like 2 have been shit, and 2 were really good. And unfortunately, the latest 2 were the shit ones. So like, kind of, it really lost its way. Because it's one of those games where it takes place on a 6-hour timer. So it's like 6 hours of real time, and you've got to like really, really kind of prioritize your way through them all, like saving survivors, while obviously doing the main quest as well without like losing anyone. So there's ways to get through it like perfectly and get everything. Unfortunately, that's burnt into my brain, so I can't really talk about how it is to play it fresh because I just know it all. But starting off with that game, like it is very tough. Like it throws a lot of really tough situations at you, a lot of stress, anxiety, which is like really good for like a person like me who really likes horror games. But with the remaster, it's a lot more. I'm not going to say easygoing, but it kind of gives you a little bit more wiggle room at the beginning in terms of it gives you more skills quicker, your experience is quicker. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's still a big challenge at the end. It just does a better job of getting you into the swing of things at the beginning, which I think is like a really good way to kind of improve upon the original. And then the overarching like improvements are just fantastic. Like you have to escort survivors back to your security room to get experience. In the original, they were like awful. Like they would get stuck on shit. Like they'd be running into walls or stuck on plants, or like they just get swarmed really easily and destroyed really easily. But in this, they all behave much smarter. I was going to say smartly, but smartly.
They behave themselves somewhat.
Most smartest. But yeah, but the AI has been improved like really well, which does make it easier. And I don't know.
I was going to say,
yeah,
the combat, like if I've played only a few hours, but the one thing that kind of surprised me, and I wanted to ask you, the combat, it feels like it did, but I guess I was a little bit shocked at like sort of how, I don't know how to describe it, like floaty the enemies, like it's just very sort of one motion, and they don't feel like they're taking the hits.
The OG or the remaster? Sorry,
the new version.
Oh, okay, well it's worse. It's worse than the original. So
okay,
yeah,
is it?
It is still absolutely. Like it is definitely an improvement. In the remaster, are you talking about zombies specifically, or the bosses, or
just zombies? I just feel like when you hit them, they kind of just fall, and like you don't, like in Resident Evil, I feel like the zombies like take every hit and you feel every hit, and like it's somewhat realistic as a person. Where this is,
I agree, but I think they're 2 different games.
Like, it is. Do you
know what I mean?
It is. But it was a bit jarring because like it looks like a new game, but then I feel like the animation was quite old school and one note.
Yeah,
like I don't think it's a bad thing. But
I guess maybe that's why they don't want to call it a remake, because it isn't like reinventing everything. It does look. I mean, I can kind of see visually, because it's the same engine as RE2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
it does look similar to the Resident Evil remakes. But I think in a game where like the idea is you're just meant to mow through thousands of zombies, like I don't think that's a bad thing personally.
No, I was more when I was taking like a 4x2 to someone's head. Like it just is a bit ridiculous. But that's kind of the game as well.
I guess. I don't know. But I feel like if you did that to a person in real life, they would also fall over. Like wouldn't they?
We try on the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, Ewan.
I don't know.
Wow,
I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I just remember thinking it was a bit odd. Like, maybe they didn't. They kind of just flew. Like, it's just over the top. Like, that is the point of the game. It's not meant to be realistic. But I think, again, it is because, like, the graphics are so much improved that I just kind of expected more.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite often the way with a remaster, though, right? It's like, sure, all the textures and stuff are swapped out, but what's kind of under the hoods and maybe the animations and stuff aren't necessarily brought up to modern standards in quite the same way.
Yeah, I do also, the timer for me was always the issue with Dead Rising. Like, it just, I don't like to feel like panicked or like OCD about games.
That would freak me out.
that still like has me checking the watch every 2 seconds and feeling like I'm failing or not getting enough done, even if it doesn't matter.
Is it any more
Mask is, like,
anxiety-inducing
my
than the
favourite
dogs
Zelda
going
ever.
mental in the next room?
I'll get the 4x2 out.
Oh.
The poor dogs.
Yeah, no, the timer is a controversial thing, but I think it is such an important part of the first 2 games, which are the best ones. So I feel like that's the tension, personally. So, and like I just said, like, Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda, like, ever, and that's a similar kind of situation where you've got a timer. So yeah, I really recommend it. I think it's a really good way. I tweeted today, like, so many times I recommend Dead Rising to people, and I say, like, oh yeah, you'll really like it, but this, and this. But with the remaster, I genuinely feel like I don't have to say but anymore, which is always good. Just a flat out recommendation.
Seeing as you also gave this a 9, I feel like I need to ask you the same question. Does this factor into your Game of the Year contention, or is it being a remaster, you're kind of like, it's compartmentalized?
I'm pulling up my little list because I haven't updated it, and now I'm just looking live. Look, I don't
see the cogs
think
turning.
so. Yeah. I don't.
Is it
think
eligible being a
eligible?
remaster?
Oh, yeah, whatever. I'm not talking about that. But I there is one remake on there right now. Or maybe 2. But I don't know. I
And The Last of Us is number 1 for me, so it's fair, I guess. I'm joking.
What, this
I'm
year?
joking. Didn't that came out?
Well.
Part 2 remaster came out this year.
Did it really?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
It's been long, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, that's terrible. No, I don't. Yeah, I think it would be an honorable mention for me. But I've just all the other games on my list I liked better.
Yeah, no, very fair. All right, well, we've got a little bit more news to get to before we play another round of What the Wiki. Some news emerged from EA out of an investors call in the last day or two. There's a few things I want to kind of get into here, but let's start with EA confirming Respawn is working on the final chapter of its Star Wars Jedi story. Shannon, might ask you this one. Are you ready and willing for the final game in the trilogy?
Yes, I am ready and willing for it. I don't know what they're going to do. I feel like Survivor, at least from like a combat point of view, wasn't perfect. But yeah, what they did there was beyond expectations. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in terms of like what more can they add from a combat point of view. I'm glad that they're kind of wrapping it up. I think I was looking at this morning and I didn't really feel like it was hugely newsworthy, just given I think Stig always said it was a trilogy. So yeah, I'm glad that they're confirming that kind of this is the third and final act.
Yeah, it's certainly like the worst kept secret that this third game's on the way. Like it's been heavily kind of pointed at to plenty in the past, including from the voice cast as well. I really love the Star Wars Jedi games. Survivor was obviously my favorite game of last year as well. I think it's right though that they wrap up the trilogy. I think it's gonna end in a weird place just given like where like it fits within the Star Wars canon. Like I just don't see it having a very happy or like concrete sort of ending. But I'm interested to see what they do within that space. And yeah, I think like given the way that Survivor kind of built upon Fallen Order, I would love to see them. I'm curious what they're going to add in. I'm sure they'll find something, but I'd love to see them like just revisit the open world a little bit more, I think, and add a bit more to that.
Yeah.
And I think
the
like
map is so bad as well.
The map is still continues to be difficult to read, yes. And it had a little bit of jank, I think, with the traversal. I'd love to see them just kind of try and polish that up a little bit more, but otherwise give me more Jedi. I love it.
Be a shame for them to perfect it and then it just be over, wouldn't it?
Well, I think Respawn are super talented. I'd love to see them kind of work on other things and step away from Star Wars, I think, as like an IP.
Titanfall 3.
Titanfall 3, yeah, exactly. That being said though, I would love to continue getting similar style Jedi games because I think that kind of like Souls-inspired approach to a Jedi game is really cool. Brody, did you have any thoughts on Star Wars, or shall I ask you instead about Skate?
You can ask me about Star Wars. You can ask me about both if you like. I'm keen to see this trilogy wrap up. Like, I have liked what I've played of both games. I've not finished either. I should go back to Survivor, though. I think I got far-ish, like a few hours. Like, I think I just, to try and skirt around spoilers, I guess, I just fought the hot shirtless Jedi for the first time. So
Okay.
wherever that fits in.
You've got a lot more of the game to play.
It was quite long, wasn't it?
Well, it took me
I
a
didn't
couple
finish
hours
it
to
either,
get there,
but-
all right? Give me a break.
Very long.
Yeah, so I've just
It
done
felt
that.
longer
but I was
too.
enjoying what I was doing.
Oh, God, James.
I was enjoying it up until that point, so maybe I jump back in at some point. But yeah, Skate. Well, what do you want to talk about Skate?
So Skate is officially launching into early access next year, after PC playtesting this year and the console playtesting still to happen. I had forgotten personally that it was going into early access. I forgot that was a thing. Where's your excitement, interest levels at for the game at this point in time?
Hard to get it up there, if I'm being honest. Like, when we saw Skate at SGF and like
about
they had that
Skate?
whole when we had that whole Tim Robinson sketch and all that sort of stuff, I was like, oh yeah, Skate's back.
Oh,
Baby.
yeah.
It's got a bit of that humor. I'm back in. But I don't know, just every bit of gameplay I see for Skate, and like I know it's alpha and it's like all that. It just doesn't look like the Skate that I loved. Like it's the game I loved is not there. So I don't know. I guess I'd have to get hands on to see how it really feels. Like, it probably plays like that traditional Skate. It just doesn't seem to have any of the, I guess, humor and like any of like the big bales and stuff, and like the Hall of Meat and the ragdoll stuff. We haven't seen much of that. So like, if that's all still there and there's like some sort of, shit story that we sort of work through, just doing crazy escalating stunts and stuff like that, like I'll all be good. But at this point, I'd almost rather like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake or something like that.
My gut says this is just going to be kind of a sandboxy type thing and not
Like session.
Yeah, I think that's my vibe on it.
Yeah, then you can
I'll
keep
be shocked
it,
if
EA.
it's like a full package.
Then EA can keep it and write it off, please.
Maybe they'll just release it and scrap it 2 weeks later if it doesn't
Maybe.
work out.
It's
Go for it, James.
no, I just think it's weird that they Skate came. Do you remember Skate came out every year? Like when it first came out, there was 4 games in 4 years, and then everyone was like clamoring for a new one, and then they decided to just bring it back. No, I'm thinking of Skate It. Sorry, I forgot about the Wii one. Yeah. Classic.
Classic Skate It.
The Wii balance board game. No, but like I just think it's weird that they kind of put them out so regularly and then have taken so long to bring it back, and then when they do, they bring it back as like this early access, open world, free to play game. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
It's
like,
been ages as well. Like, it's been 4 years, I reckon.
360. So what's that?
But I mean, since
they
they
I think the
announced
last one
it,
was.
sorry.
I think the last one was 2013, and yeah, this one was announced maybe 2017, 18, or something like that. It was a while ago. I don't know. I feel like they just don't have the confidence in it that they should, and they've just got to sort of like eke it out and hope that it finds an audience. Maybe, I don't know.
Do skate games still do well? Like, I feel like you used to be able to get so many different skateboarding games, like different brands and stuff.
Well, I don't know. I think the Tony Hawk's remasters did pretty well. Like 1 and 2.
not well enough.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
The whole thing does kind of remind me a little bit of, albeit a very different game, like what happened with Mirror's Edge and then Mirror's Edge Catalyst, where it's like, let's just take the scope of this game up and do something different with it. Okay, hit me.
It's Guitar Hero again, all over again.
Guitar Hero Live.
Yeah, and they tried to reboot it after doing one every year.
I low-key
Yeah.
liked Guitar Hero Live, if I'm being honest.
That's really
This was like ever since we like press start started, like the game that like everyone wanted alongside Crash, and like even when I wrote it, like it went off hugely, but it feels like that moment has well and truly passed now, but we'll see.
You don't know.
Yeah, it's like a misstep in like bringing a beloved game into like a more modern sort of context and thinking they need to do something different and throw in all the current trends. It's like, no, just give us like what we had back then. Like, just keep it simple.
I hope that EA looks at all of their franchises and does that for all of their sequels. Keeps them nice and focused.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to go that way, if I'm honest. let's talk about The Sims now, though, entering a new era, according to this news that's emerged. So there's no plans for Sims 5, according to the reports, seemingly opting instead to support Sims 4 and release new adjacent experiences, including the re-releases of the My Sims games on the Switch, and even a movie adaptation of The Sims, which I thought was interesting to hear. Shannon, what's your connection with The Sims? Are you kind of interested to see where the series, the franchise is nowadays?
I was a big Sims player in my teens, late childhood. I don't know when that was, but yeah, The Sims 2 it would have been, I think. Played a lot of it and loved it. This is a weird one because they announced The Sims. What was the other game called? They announced some Project Renee.
Yes.
Which, yeah, I was reading this morning, and again, it kind of just confused me, so I left it because I didn't really know what to make of it in terms of like...
I'm not keeping up with The Sims. I'm going to be totally honest. I got no idea what's happening.
I liked the idea because I think it was free to play, the one they announced. I might be making this up, or free to download, free to start, whatever. It sounded like it was going to be like this new platform that they kept building on. Why every time I speak to my sister, just want to go crazy? It's not fine any other time. So yeah, this confused me. I don't know what would be the issue with just building a new platform and then starting again, and then like it's what they've done every other time. So I don't really understand the issue here, to be honest. Maybe they're scared of like if they lose that audience and start again, like they might not be able to build it up this time. I think it's smart to expand The Sims. Like it's smart to bring these games over to the Switch. I feel like it's a little bit not condescending, but like why can't just the regular Sims come to Switch at this point? Aside from it maybe not running, but yeah, I think there is a lot of untapped potential with this game and a huge amount of nostalgia to just people that, like, I've got friends that only play The Sims and nothing else still.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's
the dogs are excited.
A huge audience for it. And I think it's great that The Sims 4 has gotten as much support as it has. And I think it makes sense, like, that it becomes, like, just an ongoing, evolving sort of thing. I don't know if you need to do a whole big, like, numbered release kind of every couple of years, unless there's something really groundbreaking to the formula that you're introducing.
That is what excited me about this new one. It sounded like it was just going to be The Sims, and then it's just you build on it and you don't feel like you're kind of missing out or have to keep up with every release. It's just a platform that exists. And then this update today kind of confused me a bit because it seemed like it was going against that almost.
Yeah, I'm curious to see more about Renee. Just reading a little bit about it now. You're right. It's going to be like a free-to-play title with solo and multiplayer gameplay. Looks like a big focus around it is more like kind of player creation, that sort of thing. But yeah, they're committed to doing some playtesting of that still. So it sounds like that's still on the way. It'd be interesting to see how that all shakes out. James, would you be interested in a Sims movie?
Margot Robbie's production company.
It doesn't mean anything. She had like lots of flops. She had so many flops before fucking Barbie. But yeah, like yeah, I mean the movie. None of this interests me. Like it's not my vibe. Like I did my time. I've done my bit with The Sims, and
you've served your sentence playing The Sims.
I don't need to go back to it anymore. But I do agree. Like it is the brand. I think is quite strong with like a lot of people and a way bigger audience than most games.
And a different audience, I think, to regular gamers.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's 100% that way. Yeah. Most people I know who play it when they're in the midst of some breakdown or crisis of some sort. They just go and escape into The Sims.
I didn't think you were going that route with it.
Well, that's just I know that's that's what happens in my life. But yeah, I think there is potential there. Like I can see them doing some fun kind of meta movie with The Sims like they did with Barbie. But,
I feel like The Sims is kind of ingrained in just like broader culture in a way that like very few game franchises are. So it makes so much sense for an adaptation, I think, into film and
so many,
and for doing kind of weird and wonderful things with the license as well, and even like tapping into the kind of cozy gaming kind of subculture as well. Like obviously that's the kind of My Sims route that they're delving into. But like that makes so much sense as like an extension to The Sims and doing like kind of quirkier, smaller experiences while they still have like the Sims as people kind of know it operating kind of forevermore, be it The Sims 4, be it Project Renee. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do more with it.
Do you reckon they go so bold as to do the whole movie in Simlish and then just have like English subtitles?
They're definitely going to have to do an element of that in the film, right? I don't know if they'll keep it up the whole thing.
That's kind of the whole thing.
Get Katy Perry back.
Bring back Katy Perry and get her to do a concert.
Did she release a song in Simlish? Was that a thing?
She had a
Last
whole.
Friday night?
She have 2 expansions. She had 2 Katy Perry sweet treats. No one remembers this.
Oh no! Was this the beginning of the end for Katy Perry?
Somewhat of a Katy Perry fan, are you, James? I didn't even know that.
Yes, you all. Oh, okay, look it up in your spare time.
There was James is ruining my the Wiki entries.
I think they could also turn this into this like Fortnite for normies kind of vibe, where like a movie comes out and they drop a pack of like normies. Well, do you know what? Well, you know what I mean? Like get like the I don't know, fucking It Ends With Us furniture set. Do you know what I mean? Like for when the movie comes out, like do these promo tie-ins with like brands and stuff. Like I think they could really do something cool with that.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, like I'm sure brands would love to kind of get involved in the Sims and be like clothing labels or whatever, releasing a set or whatever. Maybe that's
Peter Alexander pajamas for your Sims.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of
Sims. Build the Oppenheimer desert town.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is I mean, all of the examples I've used today are terrible, but like there is potential there for that. I think that is definitely untapped.
Okay, I hope all of this happens now. This sounds amazing. But I do have a rapid fire question for you all. Flappy Bird is making a comeback, much to the dissatisfaction of the game's creator by sounds of things. It sounds like the trademark for the game was kind of poached and then sold off, and now all sorts of hell is happening with it. But it's coming back. The question I have for the 3 of you, though, is what games do you play, if any, on your phone? Are you one of the lucky few to still have Flappy Bird installed? Brody, kick us off.
No, I'm not, and I can't remember the name of the game I play, so I'm trying to find it now. Here you go. I've been playing Power Rangers Mighty Force of late, which is a Power Rangers game that came out. It's very predatory and has shitloads of microtransactions.
Have you fallen victim to any of the microtransactions yet?
And I also played Marvel Snap for a time there, so... so
good save,
I don't know.
Save.
I get sucked into this shit, and I don't know. Yeah, I get bored of seeing the thing because it does that thing where like you gotta like mine resources, but it takes so fucking long, and it's like, if you pay a little bit of money, we'll give you the resources quicker.
You've just reminded me. The only one I can really have said I've spent meaningful time with recently was the Sackboy game that was on mobile. Was it like Sackboy Run or something like that? And I did cough up some cash. Like I was just trying to get this daily reward, and I needed some extra lives or whatever. And
it's the time pressure. They put you under time pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was like, no more, this is that. James, what about you?
No, sorry.
There are people in my life who, if I don't reply to them straight away, I get yelled at, so I can't be distracted on my phone. My phone's got to be open for all communications.
On Messenger.
They know who they are.
Is there someone in this room?
There may be someone in the call. I don't want to name names, but... Yeah. For me, it's... The last one I played was What the Car on my mobile. I saw it was coming to PC or something, so I fired it up again. But yeah, it's like it's either I'm on a plane or I'm on a toilet for 2 seconds, and beyond that, I never will keep my attention because it's like you can just flick to anything else, or you get a message or whatever, and then it's over.
I'm too busy flicking through my social feeds, for sure.
What the Car. Good for planes and toilets.
All right, let's play What the Wiki, the Press Start podcast game show where the previous week's winner reads part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and we, the contestants, must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, with the round concluding after someone's bagged themselves 2 points. Last week, I do believe that was Brody, who is kind of coming back into contention for the podiums, maybe? No, he doesn't look so optimistic. He's down in 4th place at the moment on 19 points. I'm in 3rd on 26. Shannon, you're in 2nd on 27 points. And James still in 1st on 30 points. So some work for the rest of us to do. But Brody, as last week's winner, you are today's host. Take it away when you're ready.
Beautiful. Speaking of games for the toilet, here is What the Wiki. All right, game number 1. Following the release of their previous game, the developer was interested in developing a game that would help to open up the development process to players so that they would end up making the best game possible from player feedback. They recognized that this would not only help with the gameplay approach, but also with narrative elements, and thus opted... James.
Is it Unreal Tournament 4?
It is not Unreal Tournament 4.
Okay, cool.
And thus opted to use an early access approach in developing the game once they had established the foundation. As the team was still small, and they were a team of about 20 employees, they knew they could only support early access across one platform, with the intent to then port to other platforms near the completion of the game. That's the end of the paragraph. Shannon has buzzed in.
Can I
Hades 2.
It is not Hades 2.
So I'm back
James.
now.
James.
Is it Hades?
It is Hades. It's Hades.
Oh!
My God.
Oh! Okay,
Mess.
yeah. Sorry, I'm piecing it together now, thinking back on what you said.
If it makes you feel better, Shannon, I already knew that.
I don't think
You didn't
did.
give it to me. No, I
After
did.
Unreal Tournament 4.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
that's
giving
that's
it.
also.
I was thinking, because of your comment about playing in the toilet, I thought we were all going to get trash games, and I was like...
Oh, no. I just
was
meant
that a
what the
clue?
wiki is a game worthy of the
I just
toilet.
wasn't listening at the start, so that was my own fault.
Okay, James is on 1. You guys need to fire up, otherwise he's going to go to
disappointing.
33. Okay. Development of this game began in August 2015, when game developers Blank and Blank participated in a game jam, where they created this game for the Pico 8. Blank, who served as producer, and Blank, who served as the lead programmer, wanted to expand the Pico 8 game into a full release. Inspired in part by one of the developers' own games, Towerfall, and Super Mario 3, the gameplay was designed to be minimal while mirroring the person's experiences with bouldering. The game was designed to be accessible, featuring game mechanics intended to make the game more forgiving, in addition to an assist mode offering several options to make the game less challenging. The themes of self-forgiveness present in the narrative began with the idea of creating a more...
James. Is it Towerborn?
It's not Towerborn.
Okay, cool.
The themes of self-forgiveness present in the narrative began with the idea of creating a more introspective game and later grew to become intertwined with the gameplay. That's the end of the paragraph. Don't know where to go from here. The game is a two-dimensional platform game. The player controls Blank, who has the ability to run, jump, climb walls for a limited time, wall jump and dash in midair in one of 8 directions. Shannon.
Celeste.
It is Celeste.
Oh, well done.
Well done, Shani.
Thank you.
Okay. I might go this. This one could be tricky, but I could be also handing it to James. Let's see how we go.
I feel like I could have clean swept, but I'll
Hand
just
something to you.
be okay.
Well, you did.
All right.
Yeah.
The game is effectively one large logic puzzle. The game is played as a first-person adventure game, allowing the player to fully explore its environment using a monochromatic dithering style. James.
Is it Return of the Obra Dinn?
It is Return of the Obra Dinn.
Well done, James.
The fourth game I had was Outer Wilds. Does anyone want to guess the theme?
I wouldn't have got that.
You wouldn't
Flop
have got Outer
games
Wilds?
that only James
Damn.
would
No.
guess.
Is it early access games or something?
It is not.
It's definitely like an indie theme of some sorts.
It is an indie theme. So all those 4 games in particular rounded out the top 100 of IGN's top 100 indie games published last year. Obra Dinn number 1, Outer Wilds number 2, Celeste, and then Hades. So
There you go.
well done, James.
Thanks.
What indie game would you put in that top 10 above those 5? 4.
I don't know. I can't think on the spot. No, Hades is pretty good. I really liked Hades. So, I don't know.
Fair.
Where did Hollow Knight feature on that list?
6th.
Actually, Animal Well is really good. Like,
Yeah.
really.
That came out this year. This was published last year, to be fair. So
Okay, yeah. So I would put that up somewhere.
I definitely feel like that's a new addition to be added in this year.
Citizen
Get to
Sleeper,
it,
number
IGN.
14. That's a good one. But anyway, moving on. Well done.
I haven't played that, sorry.
With that, let's bring an end to what was this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Subscribe to us on the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at press.au and visit the site at press.com.au. We've been joined today by Shannon.
Yeah, you can follow me at Shannon Brixty on everything.
Also joining us today, it was Brody.
Thank you. You can follow me on most things at Brody_DG. They've got Cuphead 39 on this thing. That's out of control.
And taking home the points today on What the Wiki, it was James.
Yes, you can find me on X at Jams, ATJAMZ.
And I've been your host, Ewan Roxburgh. You can follow me on socials at Ewan_Roxburgh. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Bye.